Are Americans worse off in 2025?
Brian, I am so excited to talk about this because we love for people to have confidence and feel secure and feel good about their financial circumstance. But a lot of stuff out there suggesting that right now, today, in 2025, as we sit, Americans are actually worse off financially. And so we want to answer the question, is that true, and even should it be true?
Well, we're constantly looking for data to just kind of help us read the tea leaves, also just get a pulse of what's going on. And there was a Gallup survey that just came out, and we're going to kind of go over those results. But I'll tell you it's not too different than the way I look at the market. And we'll talk about the data for today. But I think where the real value is the trends that have happened really over the last 10 to 15 years, just watching the change. And is there anything we can read into it on what might be coming our way in the future?
Yeah, so the way that Gallup actually outlined this is there were two questions they asked. They said, first, would you say that you are financially better off now than you were a year ago, or are you financially worse off? So that's question number one. And then question number two was, do you expect that at this time next year, you'll be in a better financial position or worse? So where are you today relative to last year? And then where do you think you'll be next year relative to today? And like you, I thought the trend here was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, now, look, we have to share that based upon the way the results came back is that 38% said that they feel like they're better off. 44% said that they're worse off. And then there's this whole section that's a little less than 20% that are kind of neutral. So what they do is they take the spread between the better and the worse, and they come up with a negative 6%.
Yep.
Now, at first, you're like, well, that doesn't sound good. But then, like I said, you zoom out and you look at the trends and look at what happened post, the pandemic, really from 2020. We've been in a state of decline. This is really one of the first years where we've actually seen where the better off and the worse off kind of have converging and getting closer to each other, to the point that it makes me wonder, are we headed towards more like that 2008 to all the way to 2020 where things were on the
Seemed like
upswing
people
for the
were
future?
optimistic. Yeah, that's exactly right.
And that it even follows up with the data, because the next question that Gallup asked was, what do you think about next year? Now, I brought this up in the content meeting. Y'all said that this is I shouldn't make that inference, but I'll say it anyway.
You're like, Brian, you shouldn't do this. So you said, what, on air, I'm going to do it.
We'll do it anyway.
Here he goes.
The majority of Americans, from our own reason, whenever we do studies and we do show content on are Americans pessimists or optimists, sadly, the majority are actually pessimists. But I was pleasantly surprised to see that when in this survey, when you ask Americans, 66% believe that they'll be better off next year. And that's more of an optimist take. And I like optimists because I think that, it's the villains and victims. They typically, you don't see the stories written about them, but you do see stories written about people who kind of try to figure out what are the things that I can take from my life and improve upon and kind of create a plan to live my great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
And what I like is you guys, you financial mutants out there, are different than the average American. We did a poll. We said, hey, do you think you're better off financially compared to a year ago? And Brian, you haven't seen this. Our respondents, you guys right now out in the live chat, 74% of folks said they are better off today than they were last year, which is a wonderful thing. It moves that we're moving in a positive direction. But what we want you to do is we want you to always have confidence in where you are financially, and we really want you to have confidence in where you're going financially. So what are some things that you can think through? Or how can you approach this so that you feel that way, even if there is uncertainty out there economically, or maybe even uncertainty in your unique financial situation? What are some of the things that you can think through? What are some of the things you can process to hopefully have that optimistic outlook? And the first one, this is no surprise, we think that if you can have a plan in place, you are automatically putting yourself far ahead of your peers.
Well, remember, we always have 40% of new people who are coming into the show brand new. So that's why I tell you, if you don't know about the better mousetrap that we've created, the financial order of operations, I'll make the sounds, is your friend. I mean, we literally have written the book on what to do with your next dollar. So you don't have to have any guesswork. I mean, we even tell you all the whys. We put you through all the mistakes that we've made, we've seen our clients make, so you can fill in the gaps and then once again live your best financial life.
And I think a lot of people, a lot of the angst they have around finances is just not knowing what the next best step is, what the next best decision is. That's exactly why the financial order of operations is there. It's a 9-step process to help you figure out, what do I do with my next dollar? How do I move forward? Where do I go? So step number 1 is to have a plan. Well, then step number 2, immediately following that, is to track your progress. Okay, am I actually doing the things that I said I was going to do? Hey, I said I was going to increase my 401k contributions this year. When I look at my 401k account today versus where it was last year, has it gone up? Has it improved? Are you actually doing an annual net worth statement to see, where am I today and how does that compare to where I was last year? And if I can do that, what I can observe over time is that things are steadily and consistently getting better if I'm making the decisions that I know I should be making.
Well, in tracking your progress, there's some great tools out there. We often talk about budgeting plan and then cash flow management plans, and then don't sleep on also doing that annual net worth statement and then using that as a great communication tool. But there will reach a point. Look, we count on it. That's why we always say we leave the light on for you. Is if we train you right and give you all the building blocks of what creates success with money, I know that there will become a point that success will create complications. And there will be blind spots. There will be things you just don't know the answer to, or you're even just nervous. Even if you're good with money, you'll be like, I've only going to do this the first time. Do I really want to kind of be naked in my decisions and do this and not know what I don't know? And that's why we do talk about the abundance cycle. The next stage, or the stage of graduation, is after you reach a level of success, getting closer to 7-figure success, consider taking the relationship to the next level.
That's right. We think that a lot of folks, there are generally like 3 times that you might find either one, like you said, the gravity of your financial decisions is so great that you're nervous that a 10% mistake on my financial situation now could be a big uh-oh. Or maybe it's just gotten so complex that I don't know the things that I don't know. Or maybe I'm just at that stage of life where I'm so busy that the financial matters of my life fall to the back burner far too quickly. If one of those 3 describes you, then it might be a great time for you to consider completing the abundance cycle, reaching out, checking out moneyguy.com/become a client, and see what it means to actually have someone in your corner so that you can have a positive outlook and not worry about any unknown unknowns that the economic world out there might throw out to you.